What the heck have you gotten yourself into? I'm about to talk about plant medicine and how it can help you potentially on your pelvic floor dysfunction, hard flaccid, urinary issues, sexual dysfunction, healing journey. People ask me this question. They're like, hey, I'm hearing about ayahuasca and psilocybin and other forms of plant medicine. Should I do that? What would happen? I personally have some experience with it. Therefore, I'm going to speak from my own experience. I also have clients who have done it and friends and other people in my life that I know. And I'm going to share information. This is not meant to treat, diagnose, or cure anyone. This is literally information. Take it with your own best judgment and go from there. So if you didn't know, everyone should know. Everyone in the world should know. I'm Michael Hodge. I am the co-creator of Overcome Pelvic. I help people to overcome pelvic floor issues, sexual health issues. I wanted to share a quick success story from Bram, who did the Overcome program. He said, but the most important lesson I learned was the mind-body connection. At first, I was really skeptical about meditating, which a lot of people are. Once again, I was really skeptical, but this meditation changed my life. Thank you, Bram, for saying that and sharing it. You've done, stretches, and you've done physical therapy maybe. You've changed your diet in different ways. You've meditated. You've done journaling. You've done therapy. You've done a lot of stuff. And you're like, I just still don't know what it is. It's crazy. I don't understand. It's like there's something happening beneath the surface that I'm not aware of. That's how plant medicine can help. It can help you to peel back another layer of the onion. It can help you to see something that you yourself, from your ordinary level of consciousness, you could say, are not able to see, and experience something quite immense and powerful. It's something that you could consider. So I will point towards the Johns Hopkins Psilocybin study for a moment, which they did, I believe, in 2020. And they only did, I think it was 1 or 2 treatments of psilocybin, dealing with people who are experiencing high levels of depression, I believe also PTSD, and the results were remarkable. Very high percentage of them recovered in a short period of time, and they did a 1-year follow-up just published on their website in 2022 that held at a very high percentage of the people maintained that recovery from 1 or 2 visits, not taking pills every day for a year or doing 3 years of therapy. Or how is this possible? It allows you to turn off the default mode network in many cases, right? That monkey mind, the brain that's always thinking, having these thoughts, worries, fears, past, future. And it brings you into this deep present moment, actually a timeless reality that many would say is the true reality whenever you're not experiencing time and space. But this timeless reality, you're feeling more energy. You might have emotions that come up. You might have past experiences or memories. You might be confronted with something. That which you need to release or to clear will usually bubble up. For some, that scares them. And they're like, oh, it was terrible. It was a bad trip. The point is, plant medicine, especially utilizing, I've personally only done organic, natural forms in places where it's legal, by the way. I've only done it in places where you can legally do these medicines. So I'm not recommending that anyone go to an, illegally purchase it or anything. That's not the point. There are places in which these are sacred medicinal ceremonies. These are spiritual practices even, and you can take part in those. So yeah, I'm not really a proponent of utilizing a plant medicine, or whether it be cannabis even, or ayahuasca or psilocybin, like all the time. I don't think a dependency on something exogenous is a good idea anyway. I think having an experience where you go to a ceremony a couple of days in a row or something like this, and you have facilitators, it's a very loving, calm, safe environment. There's even some therapeutic conversation beforehand and after. Very beautiful, very powerful, very impactful. And it allows you to see something beneath the surface and have a remembrance of who you truly are. There are lots of different types of things that can take place for people, but there are common themes of unity and love and peace and exhilaration and ecstasy, and not thinking a lot and worried and trying and forcing and figuring out, and kind of this ordinary level of consciousness that we get crazy swept up in that is not healthy for us at all. Personally, I have done ayahuasca, psilocybin, and hape. I'll talk about the 3 briefly. Ayahuasca was the first one that I ever did, which I'd literally never done any other drug or substance. other than I've had alcohol sometimes here and there in the past, but not very much. And otherwise, it was the first thing. I mean, I have a caffeine sensitivity even, so it was quite a heavy hitter. And I took a double dose the first time because after my first cup, I wasn't feeling anything after an hour, so I took another, and then it was really powerful. It was very challenging, though, the first ceremony. I won't get into in-depth details of what happened, but it was a very challenging one. Ayahuasca can be considered this feminine type of energy, like a mother who has a lesson to teach you, something you need to learn, or just more motherly and nurturing and holding you and compassion. And for me, it was more of like the lesson type of energy the first night. The second ceremony was a little more of the loving energy, let's say. But it's all necessary and it's all useful and it's all what's best for you and your best and highest good in that moment. But yes, it was very, very powerful, very strong remembrance of who I am, and allowed me to do some deep forms of healing, you could say, that go beyond even what you would call physical healing. I also did psilocybin. I've only done it once to this point. It was very similar to ayahuasca for me. I didn't do a hero's dose, which is like a mega dose or something. I also didn't microdose. It was just a regular, normal dose amount. And really beautiful, very claircognizant sort of journey, very internal, of just feeling, remembering, receiving information in a way, but more being fully merged with it. And the music, everything, like it's astounding the way it feels. But again, I don't condone, or I don't really recommend these things just for recreational purposes. It's more of, if you're being called to use it as a way to better understand something, ask questions, I think they're very useful. Hape is the other one that I've tried to this point, which is also known as, it's spelled R-A-P-E or H-A-P-E. From my understanding, it's tobacco, but it's a very pure form of it grown in the Amazon, I believe, blended with some other herbs and plants. Absolutely nothing like what you would have in a westernized cigarette. It's very different. This is, I have a friend, he said you can never have a bad trip with Hape, and it's more of grounding, very peaceful, very present, very expansive of your energy field. So that's just a quick review of things I've done. Also, I have clients that have come to my program or that are in the program who have done things like ayahuasca, psilocybin. I've only heard good things. Things like, wow, it really helped me to better understand something, a situation, let go, have an emotional release, cry, whatever it was, have a more spiritual connection. I personally haven't had anyone that's a client of mine that's ever had a negative thing to say about it. Clearly, some people will have fear and be confronted by something challenging. That's typically because it's helping you to clear out and release something that's actually keeping you sick and imbalanced anyway. So again, this was just about a little conversation. I wanted to talk a little about plant medicine. Could it be useful for you? When should you do it? How should you go about doing it? You can definitely find retreats online, like bookretreats.com, or there's other websites like this. You can find retreats of people. You don't have to have an individual that you know somewhere in the rainforest. There are legitimate, legal ways in which you can experience some of these ceremonies if it's the right thing for you to do. And you could always get advice from your doctor if you would like, have a physician give you a recommendation. But this conversation was more about how it could potentially be useful for you when you've been dealing with something for years in many cases, and you've done a lot of the other steps to go within. Now, if you're just starting out and you're like, I've been doing stretching and physical therapy and it's still not going away, well, maybe start with some of the other deeper work that we do, like in the Overcome program. We work on ourselves internally. And, but yeah, if you want to go further, this is something to consider. Let me know in the comments if you've done anything yourself, if you've had any experiences. I'd love to hear about it. And see you guys soon.